Well, here's the good news. The FBI is investigating now 100 Islamic extremists that may have infiltrated our military. Is that a problem for anybody? Don't worry, it's only 100. It's only 100. They've already done some of the investigations, and they have found that, there are maybe a few Islamic extremists. Now, I don't exactly know how we define Islamic extremist anymore. I don't know how the FBI even defines it. I don't know how are they looking for them? We're no longer training to look for Islamic extremists. We're now training people to look for workplace shooters. So I'm not sure exactly how all of this works. The FBI and the Department of Defense call these insider threats. They include active and reserve military personnel, but also individuals who have access to military facilities, such as contractors and close family members with department ID cards. Officials wouldn't provide any of the details of the cases, but the FBI would not confirm the numbers. They did say the cases were serious, and they could include, among other things, suspects who seemed to be planning an attack or were in touch with dangerous individuals who were goading them into attack. I'm sure it was, you know what it is? It's probably a disgruntled postal worker. It's probably somebody who's upset about Obamacare. Do you remember that's what happened when they found the van in Times Square? Do you remember that? For days, Bloomberg said immediately his first response was, this is probably somebody upset with Obamacare. Probably some homegrown terrorist. Then we realized that it was a Muslim extremist. And he said, we're not going to tolerate anybody coming out against Islam. Oh. You notice he didn't say that about a homegrown terrorist. He didn't apologize for smearing all of the American people for something that was not a homegrown terrorist, not somebody that's disgruntled with Obamacare. This conservative never apologized for smearing the Tea Party by saying the Tea Party would take a van load of explosives and drive it right into Times Square. Crazy people do that. And Muslim extremists were exactly who this guy was. Now, I don't know exactly, again, how we're deciding who's a workplace shooter and who's not. Since we could never call the U.S. Army major that went in and killed 13 people, we can't say that he was a Muslim extremist. Can't say that. Nope. I'll tell you that I'm reading the best book I have read on Islamic extremism I've ever read. It's called The Control Factor by Bill Siegel. It's been given to me like 3 times, and I just haven't picked it up and read it, and I've been busy on other things. Started reading it the other day. This is the best book I think I've ever read on it, because it's just so clear. And he talks about the control factor and the way that Islamic extremists control our minds. What they do is they when they don't have power, they're all soft and fuzzy. We're just like you. We're for peace and justice. That's all we're for. Exactly what's happening in Egypt now. And then, when they get control, there's trouble. He also makes the point that they don't want to use violence because that turns sympathy around for them. But they put violent people in place because there does come a time for violence. The Muslim Brotherhood has infiltrated this government. You have the story from the Blaze. I didn't print it out. Pat or Stu, can you look for the story on the Blaze about the Muslim extremist that just met with the President of the United States in the White House? Muslim extremist. How does that happen? Because we're not looking for extremists anymore. And I believe this president is at best neutral on Muslim extremists. He doesn't recognize them. And he also, I believe, sympathizes with their plight because America has been so evil. Now, I'm not saying that he endorses their tactics. but he sure understands them. Oh, they're trouble. And our whole system of government is starting to go down this road. We point out in Cowards on Sharia law. Sharia, the Muslim Brotherhood, and the U.S. judicial system. We take it on in Cowards, and we say things that nobody else is willing to say. We say the things that the mainstream media will not tell you, and they're important. Sharia law is creeping into our judicial system, and once in a while you will see stories, maybe on Bill O'Reilly, he covers these. You'll see stories here or there, but nobody really has tied it all together. We do in Cowards. If you need proof of Sharia law creeping in, we have it. July 2009. A Muslim woman sat in a courtroom waiting for the judge. Her life had been filled with pain and humiliation. Her husband had repeatedly raped her over a period of a month. And now she was seeking a court order that would finally end the abuse. She goes to the American justice system. According to the judge, the preponderance of the evidence clearly demonstrated that the defendant had harassed and assaulted sexually his wife more than once. But there was more, the judge pointed out. The judge also ruled that the husband had done so with no criminal intent. He didn't think he was raping her. In fact, the judge said the court believes that the defendant was operating under his belief that it is, as the husband, his desire to have sex when and whether he wanted to, and whether she wanted to or not was irrelevant. And it was something that was consistent with his practices and was not prohibited. Now imagine a woman going to the American justice system, reaching out, crying out for help. Please make this man stop abusing me. And a judge actually sitting there with the American flag behind him. And he says, well, no, he believes it's not doing wrong. This is a story that didn't happen in Iran or Morocco. It happened in New Jersey in a family courtroom. Thankfully, an appellate court eventually overturned the judge's ruling, issued a restraining order giving the woman protection that she was seeking. But unfortunately, rulings based on Sharia law are not completely uncommon anymore in this country. You cannot have a house divided against itself. We have one law. Despite the opinion of numerous scholars, along with anybody with common sense, many elements of Sharia and democracy are not compatible. Yet, Islamic law continues to make its way here in America. Why? Because too many politicians are cowards. Too many people in the media are cowards. If you think this is hyperbole or a conspiracy theory, you're wrong. Let me give you the facts. That's what your friends will say, and that's what Cowards is all about. You say Sharia law is permeating our country. They will say to you, oh, stop it. You're just paranoid. You're a hate monger. You're a racist. It's not happening. Okay, so that one incident. No. This is where Cowards comes in. It arms you with the facts. The Center for Security Policy recently reviewed 50 court cases from 23 different states to determine if Sharia law had been used in deciding the outcomes of these 50 cases. Their findings, detailed in the center's report, Sharia law and the American state courts, might surprise your neighbors. The study's findings suggest that Sharia law has entered into state court decisions in conflict with the Constitution and state public policy. Some commentators have said there are no more than one or two cases of Sharia law in the U.S. State court cases. In Cowards, you can get the details on 50 significant cases. 50. That's just a small sample of the appellate published cases. Others have asserted with certainty that the state court judges will always reject any foreign law, including Sharia law, when it conflicts with the Constitution or state public policy. In Cowards, we outline 15 trial court cases 12 appellate court cases. The facts are facts. Some judges here in America are making decisions based on Sharia law, even when those decisions are in direct conflict with the Constitution. Several states have recognized the problem, trying to take action to protect their courts. Michigan lawmaker has proposed a bill that, according to American Islamic Leadership Coalition, is intended to bar, listen to this, is intended to bar Michigan courts from enforcing any foreign law, even if doing so violates any rights guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution and or the state's Michigan's Constitution. You understand this? The president can come after the Catholics and say, you have to do this abortion. You must do this, or you're a hate organization. But the United States government, the way we are headed, is now having judges sit in a courtroom and telling a man that he doesn't have to stop raping a woman because he believes in Sharia law. And it's perfectly fine for him to do. I can't believe we need to pass laws in this country to make it clear. I was pretty sure the Constitution was the supreme law of the land. But if that's what it takes, that's what we need to do. And if you stand up against it, I warn you, if you stand up against Sharia law, CARE, ISNA, and the Muslim Brotherhood in operation here in the United States will open the gates of hell on you. The question is it worth standing up against? Is it worth the trouble that you will see, you and your friends or your city council members or your state legislature? They have organized, they have put together an amazing, powerful force, CARE and ISNA. ISNA is the Muslim Brotherhood. Can Americans do to CARE and ISNA what Americans just did to the labor union in Wisconsin? The answer is yes, but not if we're cowards, and not if we go in ignorant of the facts. Let cowards educate you, your children, your family, your friends. It's available in bookstores everywhere. Cowards.